Good morning, I'm Elton Robinson with your weekly grain and soybean update and export report. Weather conditions continue to be a major factor for grain crops and markets. May 2015 was not only the wettest May since the United States began watching weather 121 years ago, it was the wettest month ever recorded. Much of the rain fell across 5 states: Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Colorado, and Utah. In Texas, the 4-year drought essentially ended with 1 month's rain. While the drought in California continues, with even actor Tom Selleck in the news for allegedly pilfering water for his California ranch, an El Nino weather pattern is developing which could bring some rainfall into the region. The weather has played havoc with planting progress, wheat harvest, crop condition, and commodity prices. In Louisiana, rain is affecting field work and soybean development, but the rice crop is progressing nicely. In Mississippi, the rainfall has hindered field work and leached nutrients in some areas, but relieved heat stress in others. Now let's take a look at crop conditions around the country. In Indiana, 21% of the corn crop is in poor to very poor condition, while 15% of the Missouri crop is in those two categories. 18% of the North Carolina corn crop is in poor to very poor shape, while 15% of the Ohio crop is poor to very poor. Overall, however, 75% of the U.S. corn crop is in good to excellent shape, the same percentage as last year. Some soybean planting has now extended into July for some states. The latest plantings are occurring in Missouri, which had only 73% of its soybeans planted by early July. Overall, 63% of the U.S. soybean crop is in good to excellent condition compared to 72% last year. Sorghum plantings in Missouri are also well off the pace as growers are struggling to make good on intentions to significantly increase sorghum acres. About 68% of the U.S. sorghum crop is in good to excellent condition. The U.S. rice crop is moving along with maturity ahead of last year's pace and the 5-year average. All 6 rice-producing states are ahead of last year's pace. 70% of the crop is listed in good to excellent condition. Winter wheat harvest continues to lag behind in several states due to excessive rainfall, but progress has been steady. About 55% of the U.S. wheat crop has been harvested, about 4 percentage points behind the 5-year average. 23% of the U.S. crop is listed in poor to very poor shape. Favorable weather is coming to parts of the Midwest, although many fields are still saturated. Indiana finally got a break in precipitation in the northern part of the state, but rains continue to fall in the southern regions. Several winter wheat fields are still too wet to be harvested. Weather is finally clearing for the big corn state of Iowa, where a little sunshine combined with a current high percentage of adequate to surplus subsoil moisture could bode well for yields. For the latest on grain exports, let's go to USDA's export report for the week ending July 2nd. In wheat, exports of 268,000 metric tons were down 26% from the previous week. The primary destinations were Mexico, Guatemala, Brazil, Japan, Nigeria, and Colombia. Corn exports of 966,000 metric tons were down 6% from the previous week and 4% from the prior 4-week average. The primary destinations were Japan, Mexico, Peru, Taiwan, and Egypt. No sales of sorghum were reported during the week. Rice exports of 104,000 metric tons were up noticeably from the previous week and 52% from the prior 4-week average. Primary destinations were South Korea, Japan, Turkey, Mexico, and Libya. Soybean exports of 202,000 metric tons were down 30% from the previous week and 22% from the prior 4-week average. The primary destinations were the Netherlands, Japan, Mexico, Costa Rica, Turkey, and Morocco. Soybean meal exports were up 38% from the previous week, while soybean oil was down 54% from the previous week and 77% from the prior 4-week average. Beef exports were up 4% from the previous week, but down 14% from the prior 4-week average, while pork exports were down 38% from the previous week and 7% from the prior 4-week average. That's it for this week's grain and soybean report. I'm Elton Robinson. See you next week.